Silva with me, and she is my land banking expert. And there is a webinar coming up on Friday at noon that Marcella will be doing. And I've put out a little bit of information about land banking, but I thought it would be fun to jump on here and be able to ask Marcella a few questions. So Marcella, can you just share what in the world is land banking?
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me here today, Rhonda, and hello everyone in the Facebook world. I hope you all are staying safe, happy, and healthy out there. So what is land banking? Well, the definition is the practice of buying affordable pre-developed land located in the path of growth. So just imagine the area where you grew up in. Or if you live in like the San Francisco Bay Area like Rhonda and I do, what this area used to look like 10, 20, 30 years ago. Imagine, that area is mostly land, mostly dirt, and as time goes by, tons of development has come in. So imagine being able to own that land for maybe $500, $1,000 per acre, and today is worth well over $1 million per acre. So that's what we do, is we help people invest in land in high growth areas where development continues to happen. And we do it in a very strategic and well-researched way.
And so being that we have a land shortage in California, we have mandates to build, X amount of dwellings for people to live in, because we have more people than we have dwellings. It would seem like the land would just be way too expensive to even think about doing it at this point.
Right. And as a matter of fact, Rhonda, you're correct. In certain areas, it is way too expensive. It's way too late. You had to get there 20 years ago, like the Bay Area, for example. It's way too late to do land banking here. But the company that we work with has been doing this for over 40 years, and they know the right areas that are basically the next areas where growth are going. And this is not based off of speculation. This is based off of research, data analysis, and correlation of years and years of work and understanding economics and growth of cities and towns. So this is not something we speculate on. Most people think of land investing as land speculation. That's because they don't know how to do it correctly.
Right.
And it all goes into the research and how to go about doing that.
Right. So some people watching, my friends, might remember this sweet little couple right here, my grandma and grandpa, and God bless them. And thank you to grandpa, because he had the foresight to be a land banker years ago, but I didn't know that term. I'd never heard land banking, and I didn't have any idea what it was. But man, when I met you, Marcella, I was jumping out of my skin, because coincidentally, and I say that very loosely, we were in escrow with a property that my grandpa had bought in 1980 on Osgood Road. And that turned an enormous profit. And it allowed me to have a little bit of money to invest somewhere. And at that point in time, I had no idea where in the world I was going to invest it. Being a real estate broker and having the ability to buy houses and put tenants in it, that wasn't, of course, an option that I thought of, but not necessarily something I wanted to, I don't know, it wasn't settling with me, when you have that feeling in your gut. And coming to this land banking seminar during escrow and meeting you was kind of divine intervention, I will always say, because it was so meant to be. But thank you to my grandpa. I have had funds to invest, and I'm so grateful to have met you. So share with people, what kind of funds are we talking about? Are we talking about $1 million, $500,000? Like, what are we talking about with this land?
Absolutely. And that's the funny thing about it. Most people think they have to be super wealthy to be able to invest in land, but the good news is you don't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
Our company and myself, we're here to help the average investor create wealth through land, not just the wealthy get wealthier. So minimum investment, people are able to get a property on their own for 25 grand. And they go up from there up to over 2 million. So anywhere in that price range, people can invest. And the way most of my investors invest is using cash, old 401ks and IRAs. So just think about those old 401ks right now that might be losing a ton of money in the stock market. You could reposition those losing funds, underperforming funds, into something like land banking and actually create wealth with those funds. Most people say, oh, well, I'm just going to leave it in the stock market and wait for it to recover. How long will that take?
Right.
And even when it does, will you actually be creating wealth with that money? Possibly not. Why not reposition those into a real asset that has truly created wealth throughout history? And so we help people with doing that, and you're not getting penalized for pulling money out or anything like that. The IRA actually owns the land itself. So very unique way that wealthy people have been investing, probably I think since the 70s, using their IRAs, getting it out of the stock market that, as you guys have probably seen, is super volatile right now, and repositioning them into wealth creating assets. And then also 1031 exchanges. So those customers out there that might be thinking, oh, I'm sick and tired of tenants, toilets, and termites, I don't want to deal with this anymore. You can do with what Rhonda and her family did, do a 1031 exchange, selling that investment property and then rolling those funds over into land, for example, or multiple parcels, or even you could still buy other traditional real estate and land at the same time using a 1031 exchange to avoid paying capital gains taxes.
Right. And actually, when I met you, Marcella, like I said, the property was in escrow. And I was so excited that we started rolling over my old 401k before escrow ever even closed, so that I could buy my first property with my 401k that was actually sitting there doing nothing. And what a great use of my money, because would love to see that number increase over the years instead of just sitting flat or bouncing up and down and just giving me an ulcer. So yeah, that was my first purchase. And when you talked about being as small as a $25,000 investment, I have a few investments small that I've split, shared, I'm partnered with another couple on. So it's not even that one person necessarily has to have the entire 25,000. It could be some sort of a shared.
Yeah, partnered with people.
Yeah.
So just an easy tenants in common syndication.
Right.
You can have up to 4 non-blood related partners on a property or 8 blood related partners on a property. So
it
makes helpful. It extremely affordable for people.
Right. Okay. And so tell us what's driving the area that we're focusing on, where we are putting investors. What is the driving force? Why? What's so special about this area?
Now that's a loaded question, Rhonda. That's a great question, and something that I cover in great detail on the webinar that we're going to invite people to attend. Really, it's multiple economic drivers are causing this area to grow where we're investing right now, and state mandates as well, requiring multiple different types of developments that most people probably are not even thinking about or familiar with. As a matter of fact, right now the largest land rush in California's history is happening, and it's all because of our energy needs, and it's all because of a state mandate. So as an example, just as a correlation, right now we're all under a state mandate to stay at home because of what's happening out in there with COVID. Well, that's a very serious state mandate. That state mandate is just as serious as the state mandates that are in place right now that is requiring California to go green regarding alternative energy. And that, again, is causing the largest land rush in California's history. Our investors are making amazing returns on it. And all of this started actually back in 2008, 2009. So people were losing money back at that time. Meanwhile, our investors were making money, and we're still seeing it happening right now. So excellent opportunity to take advantage of this. And like you said in the beginning, Rhonda, land is running out. They're not making any more of it. This opportunity, honestly, will not be around forever. So if this sounds like something that might fit your portfolio, please watch the webinar to at least get the details and information about it.
Right. And when you talk about going green, I have a neighbor who owns land somewhat near to me, and his name is Warren Buffett. And he has, what is it, a 5-acre solar farm?
No, it's it's over 9 square miles.
Oh my goodness. I love being
9 square
surrounded.
miles. I mean, just imagine, when was the last time you saw 1 square mile of development in your own backyard? Or 2 square miles, much
Yeah,
less 9 square miles. That's like a town
right.
for one development. And
Yeah.
there's many, many more beyond that. So, largest land rush in history.
Yeah, I don't mind at all being in his way. It's not a problem for me.
That's a good neighbor to have,
Yeah,
Rhonda.
someday his people will call my people, I'm sure of
I
it.
think so.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about the webinar, the date, the time. How do people get on and hear more about this most exciting time in our life? Something to kind of pull us out of like the doom and gloom that we're in right now, like enlighten our minds with something new that's true, great information.
Absolutely. And I'm super excited to share this with everybody. So this Friday, what is Friday? The 27th at noon, I'll be doing a live webinar. So you can sit at home, be safe, be healthy, grab, your favorite tea or coffee, and at noon for about 90 minutes, maybe less, I'll be going over all of the details about land banking, and you'll learn how you can get involved. It's really a super easy thing to get involved in. So yeah, please join us. You can reach out to me or Rhonda. Marcella at dirtisgold.com is my email address, or get a hold of Rhonda. If you're Facebook friends with her, contact her and she can get you those webinar links as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Marcella. I'm excited to hear more and continue learning on Friday.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe and happy, healthy out there.
Great.
Take care.
God bless. Have a good day.